At WOLDCnews.com. The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
The Carl Nelson Show.
Good morning.
All right, let's go.
Good morning. Let's see. It's in my computer. That's a little better. Let's see.
Hey, good morning, Wake Up Squad. Thanks for starting your week and your month with us. Later, Black politics expert Dr. James Taylor will return to our classroom. Dr. Taylor is a political scientist by trade, teaches at the University of San Francisco. He'll analyze the Biden, if Biden will receive the same amount of support from the Black community in next year's presidential race. Dr. Taylor will also talk about Kamala Harris's role with the focus now on Biden's age. To get us started, financial expert JB Bryan is ready and set to go. Good morning, JB.
It's so good to be here. Good morning, right back at you, Carl. I tell you, it's a beautiful morning. It was a great weekend, and I always love it when I start the month with you. I love it.
All right, that's why we have you to get us ready, get our money straight for the month. At least have it straight for the month.
Get our money straight. You know, I am thankful. I'm thankful that I'm not feeling like Don Lemon this morning. Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
I got it. Look,
don't worry about Don, because he's got a $25 million contract coming to him, so he'll be all right.
Oh my goodness.
He'll be all right.
Go ahead, Don. I saw some more information coming out.
To talk to you what to do with that money.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. It makes a huge difference what you do with it. You know, Tiger Woods' ex-wife, she married a financial advisor. And look, and she's been doing nothing but making more money off the money she got. So, yeah.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second, though, JB.
That's
what do you do if you get a lump sum of money, like Tiger Woods' ex?
Yes.
And also Don Lemon. If CNN says, okay, here's your $25 million check, get lost. What do you do with that money all of a sudden?
Yes, and the challenging part for him, and as I've seen with other clients who have gotten settlements from their employer, often it's taxable income. So if the challenge will be on if he has to take all of that money in 1 year, can you imagine the tax rate on that? So he has to, figure out how is the best, way to address this tax issue. Can he receive it over time, or does he want to receive it all at one time to even ask about that option? Or could he get it into some sort of deferred compensation plan now that he is not working there? He would want to receive it as if he's self-employed, but they'll say, no, you're going to get this as a W-2. So as a W-2, he's going to lose, more than half of it just on taxation. So the people who think
back up. So if he gets it in a lump sum, that's where he loses half of it, or if he gets it just like as a regular check, will he still lose?
Well, if he could get it as if he's a self-employed person and that now I don't work there anymore, it's a lawsuit settlement, great, huge difference. Because if he had to fight to get it, but if it's money if he has to fight to get it, let me finish that sentence, then that's a settlement and that would not be taxable in most situations. But if he has to get it because they owe it to him to finish off that contract, that's an employee. And then he's going to have to pay the federal government and the state in which he uses as his residence for all of that income. So that he's going to lose, at least half between state and federal taxes at that tax rate for $25 million. It's a lot. And I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, so does he get it like he gets a 2-week check if that's the case, or does he get the lump sum? Can they, if he's an employer, say, all right, Don, we're done with you. We just want to write you a check and bye-bye. Does he get in a lump sum, or is that his decision or the company's decision?
It's going to all be on the company unless his lawyers are able to successfully fight for it another way. So he's going to have all the income he's already made this year, plus the income that they owe him. It could end up being, like a huge tax year for him. So a lot of times when you see the quarterback that just got like the best contract of quarterback history, and his mother helped him with the deal and everything. I remember his name, but he's in the Baltimore quarterback. That we're just talking about. But he's going to get that money over time, so he can do a lot more tax planning on the receipt of that money. But with Don getting all of this in this 1 year, hopefully for him, that they'll get it, because they might say, well, because you said that on the air and that's outside of our policy, we're not, you were in breach of contract on line item 15, blah, blah, blah. So then he may have to go and fight for it, but they still may say, yes, you won the settlement, but it was still W-2 income. I've seen that happen before. So you have to pay taxes still on it. But if it were like punitive damages and, that they did me wrong and wrongful dismissal, you've harmed me and my reputation and defamation, that's a settlement. And that is not taxable income. That is a lawsuit settlement. So anyone who receives a lawsuit settlement, that's not taxable income. That is to compensate you for the pain or the suffering or the malpractice, or and that you've been harmed in some way. So it is just to catch you up. So it's not, you don't have to pay taxes on that. It's not.
Right. And
it's
Don
not
has
income.
got an attorney, and what JB was referring to was Ravens quarterback Lamar.
Yeah, Mr.
Lamar
Jackson. That's right. That's
one. He said he used his mom. It may not have used his mom. May have just used his mom's name. We don't know.
I know, right?
You're right. So at least she gets paid. She'll get paid as the agent. So that might be another smart money move right there. But
that's right.
That's interesting, though.
That's right.
And we have to look at it. Maybe we're not going to make as much money as that, but we need to know if you get a settlement, whether it might be from an accident or a great uncle left you some money or somewhere, and you got to figure out, what am I going to do with this money? All of a sudden, it lands in your lap.
That's right.
And you start buying things in your mind already with it.
That's right.
And then Uncle Sam comes in and starts taking his piece, and then you get kind of upset because you didn't know you could have handled that money differently. So so if that's the case, what do we do, JB? I mean, is there any recourse if Uncle Sam decides this is my cut? Can you appeal, or is it a done deal?
That's a done deal. On all income that you receive, you have to pay taxes on it. So a lot of times all the time when I meet someone and they say that they owe taxes, I always go, get your transcripts from the IRS for the year that you're making these payments for. And then they look at me strangely, but it's generally there is some taxable income that you did not report. So when the IRS gets notice that you received this income and you did not report it, then they will actually put you at the highest tax bracket possible because they don't know your tax bracket. So I remember when I was talking to the IRS helping a client, they said, when the client doesn't do the return or they don't report this income, we have to put it at the highest tax bracket possible. And then if they do the return or make an amendment to include that income, then in many cases I found they don't even owe taxes and they're over there paying these payments. And it was 1099 income that they received for their small business, and they just didn't report it. So they're putting you at the highest income tax bracket, plus the penalties and interest and everything for not doing the return and not reporting that income. So you're looking like a bad person, and you don't to them because you did. It's like you were trying to hide it, but now you weren't trying to hide it. You just didn't know what came in on your transcript, on your social or your tax ID. So you have to get that information. So imagine that's why you have like these superstars sometimes that go to jail, like Wesley Snipes. You know, it's once he did not report that income, they put him at the highest income tax bracket possible, added on penalties, interest, and it just became hugely overwhelming. You do that again, then you start looking fraudulent. It just becomes a whole different issue. Like this person is getting this income every year. They're not even trying to pay us. So you start looking like a criminal. But that, and then the criminal charges come into play because it's like you're just being completely negligent. You've got all this millions and you don't even want to pay us anything. So that is the generally the situation is that we don't know what is being reported on us. And instead of getting the information that is needed, we kind of give up or hire some very expensive service that would have helped you pay off the liability. And all we need to do is to get comfortable with communicating with the IRS. And that's what I do with the Afroeconomics members, is just increase our confidence about understanding that the IRS is there to help you, and understanding that, okay, here's a conversation. And I've just seen it year after year. Once the client sees me interacting with the IRS, they just start taking over from there. Like I was telling a client the other day, her husband did the tax return, and I was like, does he want me to review it? She said, no. He said, you helped him look at it the last couple of years, and he's got it. And I said, well, I wish I was in that situation where I had someone that would look at mine for free. I was like, there's not a return that I've looked at for a client that I have not discovered an error or something that, so it's always good to have a team member that cares about you on that level, and be very slow to reject professional help. We really have to be mindful that as our confidence increases, don't be overly confident that, oh yeah, that's it, that's what I owe. No, let's talk, let's look at it. Let's see what has been addressed here. Like one client, they kept sending her letters saying she owed more taxes after she would do her return with her tax preparer. And I said, we've got to find out what's going on. And what ended up was this major company that she was getting her 1099s from was emailing one of her 1099s that she had no idea about and mailing to her house the other 1099. So what was happening is that she was getting on her transcripts that you're not reporting all of your income. And it was like half of her income, all of her pension income, she was not getting a notice for. So as I said, I think that it's saying that you're not reporting this income, because she didn't understand why they were taxing her. And they send you the report, but it could be hard for someone that doesn't look at those things. So we need to have someone on your team that's going to help you look through the notice. Not, oh my goodness, a notice from the IRS, but it really makes sense when you have someone to help you calm down. And it says that this 50,000 you didn't put on your return. That's what it said.
I thought right there, JB, because we are going to take our first look at the traffic and weather.
Oh, great.
Folks, you want to join this conversation with JB Bryan, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Your phone calls, 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB, and the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Good morning. Good morning. Please make a comment. Let me know you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Good job. Let me get my... Good morning. Y'all hydrated this morning? Kind of quiet. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, thank you. Can you hear Carl's music now? Thank you, Lone Wolf Fire. Oh, you got. Oh,
Good morning, traffic
you.
sponsored by MGM National Harbor. Early jam up on the westbound Southeast Southwest Freeway. Accident as you approach the 14th Street Bridge. Come past the tennis bubble. Tying up the left side of the roadway. That means delays coming out of the 3rd Street Tunnel and westbound on 695. Beginning
what a way to start the week talking about taxes.
Not really affecting eastbound traffic, even with rubbernecking.
You know I love it.
From Virginia headed towards Main Avenue. Through Southeast northbound on I-295, a little slow through Blue Plains on the way up towards the Naval Research Lab. But there might have been a problem there near the exit ramp. Cloudy and windy today with an afternoon shower possible, a high of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight, low 49. 50 right now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WL, where information is power.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-630-9723 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-630-9723. That's 800-630-9723. What do you have to lose? Call 800-630-9723. Again, 800-630-9723.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS is hiring an army of 87,000 new agents and employees to ramp up their collection efforts. If you're behind on your taxes, don't delay another minute, because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could soon be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-811-7033. 800-811-7033. 800-811-7033.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
The stories you love, the actors and directors you admire. For over 25 years, we've celebrated them all at the American Black Film Festival. Join us for the celebration, June 14th through 18th in Miami Beach. This year's festival features Hollywood premieres, indie screenings, celebrity talks, exclusive parties, and more. Go to abff.com/Miami for details and tickets, and get 10% off passes when you use the code ABSF10. Valid until May 8th. Can't wait to see you there.
Meals from those years are hard to forget. It was all white bread and whole milk, hamburger casseroles, and quiche Lorraine, all with a side of cigarettes. We ate salads as desserts. We knew a party was classy if it had a cheese log, and we never missed an after-dinner smoke. It didn't matter if we were in our dining rooms, burger joint, or the
Get this
ritziest of
month
restaurants,
started right.
there'd be an ashtray on every
Is this
table,
May Day?
and that very
It's my
particular
first May Day.
flavor in every meal.
Remember that in elementary
We
school?
smoked for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's amazing that our food could taste like anything else. If that was you then,
May Day
keep your lungs
2023.
screened now. Surviving lung cancer starts with a scan.
It is
Learn
today.
more at
It is
screenyourlungs.org.
on a Monday.
This PSA was made possible by industry funding and guidance from lung cancer patient groups.
Ryan.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Ryan had a baby. Our director of everything, the website, man. Ryan and his wife had a baby.
Hey, morning again, family. 21 minutes after the top of the hour, financial advisor JB Bryan. Earlier, JB was telling us about Wesley Snipes and his tax problems, and what it was, Wesley had joined a group. He officially joined the group. Was just listening to them saying that we don't necessarily have to pay taxes. And there's a whole group of folks who believed this guy was following. I think he was out of Philly. And Wesley didn't pay any taxes. And the IRS says, you owe us $23.5 million. And he says, I don't have to pay. So then it wound its way through the courts. And Wesley, when the final thing, Wesley said, okay, I'm going to pay. Because everybody said, you got to pay, Wesley. So he says he had a certified check to pay his late tax. He says, no, we don't want your money now. You're going straight to jail. That's the scope. That's what he said happened at the criminal trial. He says he was evading tax evasion. That's what they had him on. Also got a tweet about from the Don Lemon, what you said. The person says Don Lemon would like all employees should have a pension, and monies are placed in an annuity or a 401b plan. Yeah. So what is a 401b plan?
Yeah, those are just the tax codes for the deferred compensation that I mentioned. That this is deferred compensation plans that go through an employer will only allow you to put in like the maximum, and I don't know if he's over 50, but he would be getting up to about $26,000, under 30,000. That's nothing when you're making 25 million. So if he were like self-employed, they could do, but he wasn't. But say he were to be able to get a 1099 for that income, and they had what is called a real deferred compensation plan, where you could say, I'm gonna put away 10 million, you know what I mean, until down the road, and then I take it out. You don't even have to wait till 59 and a half, but that would be a unique situation where he was like working as a contractor at a company that would allow you to do that. But he's not, he's an employee. He works for them. So he would be under the limitations of regular people. My clients max out on their 401ks all the time. That's the point. So you get around $200,000, those 403Bs and the 401, and 403B is actually for a nonprofit. So he wouldn't even have that tax code for his plan. He would be under the 401k. And then that, but they're just the tax codes for the IRS, those numbers. So there's a 457 for municipalities, then you have the 403B for nonprofits, and then you have the 401ks or for corporate America, and then you might have a SEP IRA for a person that works for a smaller company. So all of these, but they all max out way low. So for him.
At 20, let me ask you this though, JB. At 24, I forgot to ask you at the top. Are you broadcasting live on social media?
Yes.
Can you tell the folks how they can see you?
Whatever your social media favorite platform is, please go in and put JB on the Carl Nelson Show. Put in Afro Economics, and then you will definitely see. But right now, the topic says JB Monday live on the Carl Nelson Show. But just Google that to look for us, and we can interact. You can ask questions, and then also I have your number up here. Call me at 450-7876. But if you can't remember the number to call in, you can see that on any of the favorite social media platforms. I'm streaming live right now.
All right, and I just checked in. Saw you there in red, lady in red, JB
Great.
Bryan.
Great. That's
All
right.
JB, 25 after the top there. We talked about Don Lemon. You know, what people who think they may be in their jobs are in jeopardy. Of course, he was sort of blindsided. But now with all these closings and we see places shutting down and banks, and another banks just closed last night.
Yes.
Your job, and sometimes you kind of know, it may not even be, it might be even kind of personal. You're on the job and you feel like you're going to get, you get those vibes that you're going to get.
That's right.
What are some of the things you should be thinking or putting into place just in case the uneventful happens?
Living below your means all the time. Following that Afroeconomics philosophy that we've talked about for years of you don't have to worry about flexing. Your flex is your lack of stress because you're living below your means. We're taught and programmed to live way beyond our means. Like whenever you're financing something, that means you really can't afford it right now. And so when we get into a point of like financing, that's where more of the stress comes in. And unless you're on and a client was saying,
let me interrupt you there. When you say financing something, not just a car, but if you use a credit card, do you consider that financing something as well?
Oh, yes. A credit card is, a source for buying something that you don't need, at an interest rate that is outrageous. And so but more and more people, because of inflation, have been found to cover basic lifestyle needs, basic like groceries on credit cards now. So if you're wasting your credit card line availability on, clothes and shoes, and you have a closet full of them already, you're not prepared for an emergency. Because even if you can't save for an emergency, if you have a credit line available on your credit card, you have an emergency fund. But if you have your credit cards almost to the limit, then you don't have any available credit line for you with an unexpected car breaks down, or anything like that. So, sometimes people have to get a new car because they really can't afford to fix the one that they have. So the new financing plan might say no money down, and this is the payment. And they're like, I either have to have $2,000 to fix this one with no payment, or I only have to pay $300 and I can go over into this new one. And see, that new one looks very attractive, but you're talking about you got another $30,000 plus in debt versus all you needed was that emergency fund available to get the other one fixed. So,
but let me jump in because what I was asking you really though is people who use their credit and they pay it off every month. If they
that's perfect.
Groceries, might be gas, and every month they just pay it off. Is that a good move?
Perfect. That is wonderful. Now, I mean, of course, the finance company doesn't like that, but it's perfect use of not having cash on you, to pay. Now, I am a debit card person, but a lot of people don't like to use their debit card, but I like to use my debit card because I don't like to think I have more money to spend than I do. So if you use the credit cards and you have this other money available to you with the debit card, the credit card, you can't really spend on your debit card and your credit card. Because how are you going to pay off the credit card with the debit card? That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're paying it off with that checking account balance. But if you're spending, which happens most of the time, both places on your bank, what's in your bank, and using the credit card to buy even more, then you can't pay it off at the end of the month unless you use all of your new money that comes in. So every time you get paid, you're paying off the credit card. Then you're paying off the credit card. That also will close you out from ever being able to have extra money to save. So we want to get to a situation where it's like, you're living where you have extra money every month that's left after you get your paycheck. And that's getting harder and harder because we just have developed bad habits, and we really have to adjust to, what is the bad habit that I have. Like I literally, if I spend something or waste money on something, then I have to take out something else. I look at my life as a balance sheet. Like I wasted some money over the weekend. So now I was going to the spa this week and I was like, dang, I'm going to have to not do that. Like I'm going to have to skip that week because I don't want, to like overspend. And I think that we just think that we can, just because you have it, you have to spend it. We don't have to do that. We should like try to get to a mentality of stretching it out and living your life like an enterprise. And in order for an enterprise to really function, if you were featured on CNN or CNBC or on the Carl Nelson show as a business to someone to invest in, would you be a business that someone wants to invest in? Look at yourself that way. Are you negative worth, meaning your assets are worth less than what you owe on them? Or are you slightly getting by? Or do you have a whole bunch of assets because you avoid having a lot of debt? So we want to do the minimum amount of debt to develop the maximum assets and for future income. That's what we're acquiring assets for. Not just random spending.
From the top of the hour with JB Bryan, folks. You're just joining us. First day of the month, actually. And this is a good time to check up your finances.
Yes.
JB thinks you should check every day. At least some people check once a week, but at least once a month. You gotta look at your balance sheet, folks. Yes. That's what JB is telling us to do. And we're starting off on the first day of May here. 800-450-7876. Charles is calling from Baltimore. Has a question for JB Bryan. Charles, you're on with JB.
Yes. How you doing, JB?
Great. Good to hear from you. Thank you.
Yes. I was wondering if you were familiar with the Consumer Protection Act and if you could give us a little information on it.
And that is like when Obama, you're referring to, like when he set up that agency in the...
No, the Consumer Protection Act,
tell me more.
Tells us how rights.
Charles, hold that thought right there. I'll let you explain to JB what you're asking her about, because we got to take our first look at the news, traffic, and weather in our different cities. Folks, you can be like Charles and join this discussion. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Speak to JB Bryan. We'll take your phone calls in 4 minutes in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB, and also in the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Looking at it's like every state has their own code too. I'm looking it up, Charles. See what I know. What the Obama established that consumer. Elizabeth Warren is over it now, I believe. Let me get the name of that.
Good morning, folks. I'm Earl Kirk. Here's the latest from NewsOne.com. Jury deliberations resume today in the trial of Proud Boys members for their alleged role in the Capitol riot. Scott Carr has more.
5 members of the neo-fascist white nationalist group are facing charges, including the rarely used charge of seditious conspiracy for allegedly not just rioting at the Capitol, but plotting to overthrow the government. Federal prosecutors, in their words, say the 5 were thirsting for violence and saw themselves as Donald Trump's army. Defense lawyers argue the violence that happened at the Capitol was unplanned and say a conviction would criminalize political protests. I'm Scott Carr.
A UMD College Park employee is facing child porn charges. William Gomes was arrested at his home in Elk Ridge after nearly a 3-month investigation. Police seized his electronic devices and say a forensic review shows he had several child porn files. 41-year-old works in the IT department, but had his access to school networks taken away and is now on leave. A man stabbed on the grounds of the Washington Monument Saturday night is recovering. U.S. Park Police say it happened during a fight at 16th and Constitution between two men who knew each other. One was hospitalized and the other arrested. Tourists watched it all unfold. The Commanders are pretty happy with their 7 picks as the NFL draft came to a close over the weekend. The full list and their bios are posted on the team's website. Meantime, Colorado football coach Deion Sanders is calling out NFL teams for only drafting one HBCU player in all 7 rounds of the draft. 4 HBCU players were selected last year. NBA playoffs, Warriors rout the Kings by 20 in Game 7 of their first-round series. Golden State battles the Lakers next. The second-round series in the East is underway. Heat beat the Knicks by 7 in Sunday's Game 1. Nationals down the Pirates 7-2 to salvage the series finale. Josiah Gray struck out 6 to earn his 2nd win of the year. I'm Earl Kirk. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to newsone.com.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by MGM National Harbor. Southbound 295 remains closed because of a pedestrian accident from overnight south of the Naval Research Lab between there and the Beltway. All traffic being detoured at the Naval Research Lab. Exit follow police direction in order to get through. There is some congestion coming down from Malcolm X Avenue. Northbound, it's rubbernecking. Your lanes are open, but folks are slowing down to see what's going on as you come up from the Beltway towards the Blue Plains area. Then you're better to the 11th Street Bridge. Still slow westbound on 695, heading past the 3rd Street Tunnel and over towards the tennis bubble. Action and cleanup was in the left lane. I think they may have just reopened all lanes there. Cloudy and windy today with an afternoon shower and a high of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight, low 49. 50 right now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Listen up. This is your daily Black Health 365 moment. Did you know that National Blood Pressure Awareness Month is in May? Well, during May, have your blood pressure checked so that you are aware of your numbers. Now, you can either schedule an appointment with your primary care physician or visit a local pharmacy that does blood pressure readings. If your blood pressure is elevated, well, it may be time for a physical. This has been your Black Health 365 moment, because a healthy lifestyle is a daily choice.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
The IRS deadline has come and gone. So do you owe money to the IRS? If so, you need an ally. Whether you owe the IRS $6,000 or $600,000, whether your tax problems are personal or business, the professionals at Allies Tax Relief are ready to step in and negotiate your fresh start with the IRS. Here's a happy customer of Allies Tax Relief.
Before calling Allies Tax Relief, I feared the IRS would take all of my assets. I owed them over $562,000. Thankfully, I was referred to Allies and called them for help. They ultimately saved my life from uncertainty. Allies negotiated my giant tax debt to an unbelievable $1,500. They are professionals, and they fight the fight for their clients.
Allies Tax Relief will protect your assets from being seized and your paycheck from being garnished. Call right now for your free consultation. 800-956-7005. That's 800-956-7005. Or visit AlliesTaxRelief.com.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Good morning again, family. 21 minutes away from the top of the hour. Thanks for joining us this early morning with our guest, financial advisor, J.B. Bryan. Before we go back to J.B., I want to remind you, today's the going home service for one of our former guests. That would be Alton Maddox, the attorney at war. It's going to be at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. It's 138th Street in Harlem, and it's going to be live streamed. Those of you who want to check that, I just posted all the information on my Facebook, so you can go there and get all the information. Some people were asking where it's going to be live streaming. It will be live streaming. It starts at 9 o'clock. Actually, the viewing starts at 9 o'clock. So I know it's going to be packed. So if those of you in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, you better get there early to receive the send-off party for our brother Alton Maddox. Also, later today, we're going to speak with Black politics expert, Dr. James Taylor. We got a lot to talk about with Dr. Taylor. He's a political scientist by trade, teaches at the University of San Francisco. He's going to analyze if Biden will receive the same amount of Black support in his 2024 presidential race. What the Republicans last time deemed they only needed a slice, maybe 20% of the Black vote to get over it. That was with Donald Trump, and there's another question: will it be Trump or DeSantis? So we're going to kick that around with Dr. Taylor. Also, the issue of Kamala now comes into focus, of course, because of the age issue of Joe Biden. Make sure you check in with us later this morning for Dr. James Taylor. And later this week, the founder of the Black Laws for Justice Mark, Malik Shabazz, will be here to find out what he's going to do now, the latest, because he's been on the trail of Carolyn Bryan. She's a woman whose accusations led to the death of Emmett Till. Well, now she transitioned last week, and we'll see what if Attorney Malik, because what they're going to do now that she's gone, if they're going to go out after her estate, or something we've talked about with JB about estate planning as well. Also, next week, or later this week, I should say, Morgan State University clinical psychologist, Professor Ray Wimbush, will be here. So the master teacher himself, Ashraf Qureshi, is going to join us. So if you're in Baltimore, make sure your radio's locked in on 1010 WOLB. If you're in the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and 1450 WOL. I mentioned earlier, JB is broadcasting live across social media. I can look at it right now, dressed in red. You can pose your questions there as well. We get them on JB. If they pose them, you just read them at 800-450-7876. Before we left for the news, traffic, and weather update, we're speaking with Charles, calling from Baltimore. So, Charles, your question again for JB?
Yes, I was talking about the consumer rights laws. The bill collectors can't harass you with phone calls. You shouldn't be paying interest or down payments for cars, stuff like that.
Thank you, Charles.
When you said that, it made me think about this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I think is like an off creation from the act, because it was started during the Obama administration, because there was so much exploitation of consumers, and especially with the internet and everything. So then I see what you're referring to, like started in the 70s, and then in 2019, probably from the work of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and Elizabeth Warren, is kind of something she really pushed that in 2019, the Protection Act was expanded to include electronic consumers, as you were saying, like, because people on the internet, I guess, didn't have in law something to protect them from exploitation, or how to make sure like they could get their money back and things like that. Like you'll see on, Amazon, how easy it is to return something. And that had to come under their requirement. So they'll allow you to return something, but you have to get it back to them, within a reasonable amount of time. And so you go somewhere, you drop it off, use the label that they give you, but they immediately credit your account. Now, do you think they really would have, done that without, Charles, what you're talking about, laws to actually require that you have to protect this person because they bought it from you online? They can't get it back to you. They can't just walk in the store like you would if you bought it from the store. So they said, let's create something that will help people who are buying stuff online and give you a requirement, but I think that they're probably doing an extra step, as far as, Amazon, and that they really make it very easy. There's a lot of other places where they're not going to return your money until they get that product back, and then we'll put it on your account. So it would be interesting to know the law on that. Like, are they supposed to, when you notify them that I'm sending this back, give you your money back? Or can they really wait until they get it back? Because they have your money.
Right.
So, but that, I think that really helps with Charles' point, is to look into the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And their work is to protect you as a consumer and make sure that people are following that act or the Consumer Protection Bill for 2019. And but it did come into play. But are we really using it? Are the companies really following it? As a consumer, you have to make sure that you report these things. And there's like billions of dollars since that bureau was created, and that was around, and during the Obama administration, billions of dollars have been returned to consumers because of
right. And let me
that
just drop this in here, JB, at 14 away from the top. Yeah, with the advent of artificial intelligence going out there, folks, Chat GPT, just be careful when you purchase anything on the internet. Just have that in the back of your mind.
Yes.
But anyway, we got some more folks want to talk to JB. 800-450-7876. Sharon's calling from Virginia. Sharon's on line 3. Sharon, you're on with JB Bryan.
Hi, Sharon.
Good morning, JB.
Good morning.
And good morning, Mr. Nelson. My question is, I'm in the market for trying to purchase a home. And because I'm a first-time homeowner, I thought I could qualify for certain down payment assistance programs. But it seems like I can't. Well, maybe I don't know enough about that. But, I hear that I should pull from my 401 for that down payment if I don't have all those funds. What would you suggest?
Well, in a perfect...
And JB, before you answer her question, can you tell us, and thank you, Sharon, for that question, calling from Virginia. Can you tell us, is this a good time to purchase a house? Is considering all the market conditions and people getting laid off and people they're cutting back on stuff? Is this and then you can answer Sharon's question, since she wants to be in the purchasing column, what do you do? What's the easiest way to do it? But first, is this the right time?
It really depends on the person. And because I recognize Sharon's voice, I know her, and she's a member of Afro Economics. I know her situation. So I could immediately, I would have said, oh, it depends. But I was about to immediately give her an answer, but I'm glad that you stopped that because I don't know everybody. So but as far as looking at the market and not having a demand, because I know that this is something that Sharon has been working on for years. Now, for the average person, this is a hard time to go into this market. She has a very unique situation. But for the average person, if you don't have to buy right now, I would consider waiting because the Federal Reserve is talking about increasing interest rates even more. So it would be better if you go into a financing situation in a declining interest rate market, but then you wouldn't really know when it's really at its lowest. But this is like really high. I mean, really high. They've doubled over the last year. Interest rates are. So you're looking at 30-year rates near 7% or more. So that can really change your payment.
Let me ask you this then. Does that also apply, JB, to refinancing as well?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yes. And the advantage to a refi is that you can have enough equity that can make your loan smaller. But what Sharon is talking about is a loan that would be way above. Like if you get down payment assistance, then they're going to consider you, some situations, 100% lender. Because if they're coming in with the down payment, you know what I mean? And you're only putting, say, 1,000 or 2,000 down, the minimum, then you don't have any, equity. But if you're refinancing and you only do a loan for the loan amount that you have, and say you're only doing it for 30% of the value, 30%, your loan is almost paid off, but you're in this horrible situation, divorce, say, and you have to refinance right now. So then you refinance, but you're only refinancing this small amount of what is owed. But if you refinance and you take out cash, then you're going to add to that interest rate. because that's considered a cash out. So you're going to have premium fees and expenses associated with you want access to your money. And a lot of people don't understand that. So,
all right, slow down for a second. So let's do the refi. The people who are doing a refi, they shouldn't. You were saying, you were suggesting it may not be might not be a smart move to take money out.
Oh, no, that's gonna take away the argument that you're using just you're only refinancing your loan balance. So the loan interest rate is based on how far you are from what the house is worth. So if you're only borrowing, say, 50% of your home value, your interest rate is going to be better. And it's going to be much easier for you to refinance versus going in for a new purchase at 100% or 90% or 95%. The criteria on that is going to be more strict, unless you get some sort of government assistance, as Sharon was saying. But then a lot of times, if your income is high, then you're going to have, challenges with them having a program to help you because you make too much. So you will have to, a lower income will have a better chance at getting a down payment assistance. And that's true. That's just
right,
so I know that she makes a lot of money.
JB.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling. Sarita's reaching out to us. She's calling from Los Angeles. She's on line 2. Sarita, you're on with JB Bryan.
Good morning, Carl, and to your guests. I wanted to touch on the sister that just called, but I would like your input or outlook on it. And that is, I agree with you. This is not the time, in my opinion, to and invest in property. However, I think too that it is important to look at other avenues. So a lot of times we are so interested in purchasing our dream home that we don't look at the bigger picture. And that is to look into investment property. And what I mean by that is, why not buy multiple complex, meaning that you maybe like a duplexes or apartment units or a 4-unit, apartment, which helps to generate money, but also gives you more equity. And of course, people smile on that. So I think, and it also gives you an opportunity, instead of just purchasing a home of square footage, you get a value of, or an opportunity to be able to look into land more so. And I think it's important that we push land for our community. I think it's just very, very, very important. So I'll take my comments off the air, but I did want to touch on that. I wanted to also put that bug in that sister's ear. So I'll take my comments. Oh, and what should we do too when we're getting our property appraised and we're getting appraised at a lower value? And here it is, telling others that don't look like us, hey, can you, help with this appraisal? So I want to touch on that. What should we do when we're getting it appraised? I'll take my comments off the air. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Sarita, joining us from LA. And hold on, JB, we got to take a quick break here and check the traffic and weather as we move to the top of the hour, so the stations can identify themselves down the line. Folks, you want to join in this conversation with JB Bryan from Afroeconomics? Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We close in 4 minutes. In Baltimore on 1010 WOLB, in the DMV, on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Yeah.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by MGM National Harbor. Entered over the Beltway flowing before 210 to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Slow exit off of the Beltway to go north on 295 up towards Blue Plains.
But
Your lanes are open, but there is police activity
that.
southbound on 295 near the truck scales just before you get down to the Beltway. Pedestrian action from overnight is being investigated. There's southbound 295 traffic is being detoured at the Naval Research Lab and sent over towards South Capitol Street to reach the Beltway in that fashion.
Great time.
Like the earlier action on the westbound Southeast Southwest Freeway is out of the way, so things are getting better through there. Heavy traffic on Route 50 after 410 towards New York Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue. Cloudy and windy today. Could see an afternoon shower. High of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight. Low 49. 50 right now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus. For help, call 1-800-CAN. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM. WOL.
High income. It's just going to be
eating,
harder to get
working,
down payment
living
assistance.
pain-free. These are a few of the things many of us take for granted. Yet for many United States military veterans, finding and affording oral health care is a challenge. Dental Lifeline Network is looking for dentists who can change this. Will you volunteer to help people like Richard, a U.S. Naval veteran who suffered severe PTSD after his service? He was left homeless for a period of time, and his oral and overall health are suffering. Because of congressional limitations, the VA can't provide the dental health he needs. Through our Will You See One Vet program, we focus on helping U.S. military veterans like Richard. Now we are seeking more general dentists and specialists to donate treatment to at least one veteran with special needs. When you volunteer with DLN program to see one vet, we handle the details so you can focus on the care. If you are a dentist or know a dentist, please share this message and help us make a difference in the life of a veteran in need. Visit willyouseeonevet.org to learn more. That's willyouseeonevet.org.
Climate change is happening right now, and Freetown Farm of Central Maryland is fighting back with a solution, Climate Victory Gardens. Freetown Farm is the second registered Climate Victory Garden in the state of Maryland, and as a part of the Community Ecology Institute, Freetown Farm also teaches people how to grow Climate Victory Gardens, which anybody can grow. Just dedicate some space in your backyard or on your porch to a crop you love to eat. Only catch, no chemical fertilizers. With Climate Victory Gardens, you cut out excess carbon from chemical fertilizers by using naturally sourced compost instead. What's more, you'll be growing delicious food to nourish you, pollinators, and future generations nationwide. There are nearly 15,000 Climate Victory Gardens across the country that help reduce carbon emissions equivalent to 38 million miles driven. And imagine the benefit that a million gardens would bring. With your support, we can make that happen and fight against climate change. Visit SOSglobal.earth now to help fight against the climate crisis and benefit Freetown Farm. And remember, be the change, wear the change.
Great.
I had an important job. And it wasn't just a job, it was keeping my brothers and sisters safe. And coming back, it felt like kind of thrown away. It's like you're useless. You know, we don't really have a need for you now because you can't really do anything for us. That's the way I felt.
Thank you so much.
If it hadn't been for Wounded Warrior Project, I honestly don't know if I would be here. It was the camaraderie that I saw and had. It was like I got my family back again. We all felt the connection, you know, like that brother and sisterhood.
See how Wounded Warrior Project empowers women veterans like Donna by visiting woundedwarriorproject.org/empowerwomenvets.
When a student lacks some of the most basic needs,
like food, clothing, and school supplies,
it can be challenging to even attend school.
it can be hard to study, tough to concentrate, impossible to thrive.
At Communities in Schools, we address this issue every day.
Out in the community, there are great resources for students, and we bring these resources directly to the students who need them most.
We work to ensure that they have everything they need to re-engage in learning in the classroom and at home,
including access to technology, learning materials,
and even emotional support.
By forging caring relationships with students and bringing communities of support to them.
Our staff works to achieve equitable learning conditions so all kids can succeed in school and in life. And that's what Communities in Schools is all about.
To learn more, Visit communitiesandschools.org.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9. WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com. The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go.
Keep rocking.
Good morning again, family. Minute after the top of the hour with our guest, financial expert J.D. Bryan, on this first day of the month, May Day, and we're talking money. Right. We're talking about your money. What are your thoughts? 800-450-7876. JB is also broadcasting live across all social media. Just put in the name and Google a name, and you'll see her. She's a lady in red lipstick, a red outfit, and smiling brightly. JB, before the break, Sister Sarita in L.A. posed some questions. She put a lot of questions on your plate, so I'm going to give you a chance to chip away some of those questions that she asked.
Also, Sharon had talked about, like, should she use her retirement account for her home purchase? And that's worth noting that's a challenge. That's really a challenge, and it really depends on your priorities. That would be much easier to say yes if the person has like a guaranteed income that is going to cover paying things. If they have a pension, if they have an account that is huge, they've been putting everything into their retirement account. If they have other savings. So it really depends on where your financial situation is, if you should use the retirement account for the purchase of a home. Or also, we have to know that your home purchase should be very reasonable. Like, as a percentage of wealth, our community puts a lot of our wealth into the residential real estate, and that can cut down, historically it has slowed down our wealth development, because the residential real estate sector hasn't outpaced the S&P 500 based on historical performance. So if the investor is doing a modest home that's very affordable for them, like 30% of their income or less going into their mortgage because they had a great down payment, they inherited a lot of money, they took money from a house they sold and did this, their payment is just very reasonable. And then they're also doing other investments, then their wealth based on historical performance, has a greater opportunity to grow. So when people say, oh, when you rent, you're throwing away money, that's not necessarily true. It depends on what you're doing with your money. I also want to bring up the point Sarita said about buying land. We must know that land and raw land, undeveloped land, is the most risky thing that you could do. It's like very hard to find anything else that, as far as like an investment, if I compare it to this, you could say, well, the stock market, well, the stock market is very liquid. You can buy something and sell it, the next day or at settlement or whatever, but it's very liquid. So it's not going to have the same risk level, because of the liquidity kind of brings down the risk relative to raw land. Your market for selling it is going to be smaller, and the liquidity it's not liquid. Like, you can't, I want to sell this land and have your money, within days. So you have this where you feel that you should own land, but you have an asset that, unfortunately for us, for generations, hasn't done anything for us. Now, there have been cases where I have had a client that does have land that is really sought after, really sought after. The challenge is that she didn't know when to sell it. And then she didn't get all of her paperwork straight with the co-owner because she inherited it and there was someone else who inherited it. So she ended up passing away and that land never got settled. So it's and she didn't have any children. There was no one to, for it to, and I kept telling her over and over, this has to get straight. You have to get this straight. You have to get this straight. I mean, repeatedly, every conversation, you have to get that legal document straight, and not knowing that she would become terminally ill and pass within 8 weeks. But her land had.
Let me jump in and ask you this, JB. So what happened to the land?
Yeah.
You went back to the government or what?
No, that there and that particular situation, strange as it was, the closest living relative was incarcerated. And
wow.
So when he does, like, if he does get it, hopefully it will go to the victims that of why he was incarcerated. Because not even the victim, but the family of the survivors of the victims. So so she had that challenge, and she wanted to make sure that didn't happen. But if you want to make sure that something doesn't happen, you got to do something about it. So you have to do it. You have to get the paperwork straight, and
right. That's also on estate planning. Maybe one day we'll talk about estate planning.
Yeah.
7 after the top there. One of the things that Sarita mentioned, though, was the appraisal.
Yes.
When doing an appraisal, whether it be for a home you're purchasing or homes or for a refi, because I think they still require that. Can you ask for a black appraiser? Because I'm sure everyone of us saw the story. Many of us probably saw the story about the black family when the appraisal came in low, and then they had some white folks, and they changed up the look of the home, took down the black pictures or anything black in the home, and had a white person pose as the owner. And the appraisal came over, increased dramatically, and they actually sued the appraiser and won a lot of money. But back to the question that Sarita asked: Can you demand? Can you request a black appraiser, or is it is that the lending institution's choice?
Yeah, it would be based on the list of options that the lender wanted to appraise it, or the appraisers available through that closing agency, but most likely it's closing. So it's going to be an underwriting issue, really. Like, you could get any appraiser, like you could argue against it, but you're going to have to pay for that other one. And the appraising is a science. So sometimes we have to be careful what they come at us as a community with from the media. This is how that could have gone down. Okay. So the person comes in, they do appraisal, they get these cells in the neighborhood, right? Another, say 4 or 5 months go by. Another property in that same neighborhood sells. Now, in order for them to let me know that it really was because those people were black, I would have to see that same appraisal based on the same comps. You see what I'm saying? Stuff has to sell within, like, say, a 90-day period. They have to be recent sales within a, say, 3-mile vicinity of this property. So this person comes in behind that person and says, oh, that was because you were black. No, it was because they had 3 different houses they used the comp on. So it's depending on the real estate market. Like, we have to be very careful because the people make a lot of money on victimizing us and making us afraid and making us frightened and making us, like white people, assuming that all these white people don't want to live in your house because you take the black signs down and this black pictures down and this and that. Like, but did you go around with this T-shirt saying unapologetically black? No, so are you or not? Or when it comes to money, you don't have to be black anymore. I don't know, but that is not the way you can live your life trying to figure out how to hide the fact that, you're black. I'm not even going to do it. Don't even do it. Like, the appraisals are based on a science, period. Based on these cells that sell, if you wait and you get some other cells around you, you're going to get a better appraisal. So you can wait out for the house up the street to sell at a good price, and your appraisal is going to come in better, especially if your square footage is around or more than what that was.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying at 10 after the top of that, but this particular black family, the appraisal was done in a recent short space of time when their white friends posed as the owners of the place, and the appraisal rose dramatically. So that
wouldn't even make a difference. They're lying. Yeah. They're lying. I'm telling you, they're trying to play with our head. These people coming in, like acting like has nothing to do with the appraisal, unless that it's just nothing to do with it. The appraiser could do bad comps. That's based on their brain but the appraiser is going to make $500 or $600, whatever they're going to charge is the same. And the lender wants you to get the best appraisal because they want. So there's too many white people that are going to win from a good appraisal for me to believe that appraisers are going around giving black people bad appraisals, because we're not the ones financing it. So the finance company wants the best appraisal possible. There's too many that you got to follow the money. There's no one, incentive for that.
I understand what you're saying. In a practical sense, it works. But I hope you're saying that racism doesn't exist, because it does.
Oh, it does.
That was proven in that particular case.
But that one
the black family sued and they won. And we forget about comps and all the other stuff. It was straight out racism, and the court found for them because it happens all the time. Unfortunately, I don't want people to think that it's just basically on science and mathematics and comps and all that. We do have some racist people in this country, folks, and we all know that.
But that's not going to.
Right and said there's no racism in Baltimore. There's racism all over the world.
No, but that's not.
As a black person, if you don't understand that, you don't understand.
But our racism comes in.
Supremacy works.
But I know exactly.
No, JB,
but the way that white.
I don't want you to tell the folks.
I'm not saying that.
White people are fair.
I'm not saying that.
Be all comps. No,
I'm not saying
that way. And that way that it was proven that there was total racists who went up there when they appraised that family's home, and that's why they won in court. So,
but the reason they won in court,
about comps and science and all that. But we do have some racist people in this country.
But there's no power there. There's more power in us understanding how appraisals work, because the majority of black people that read the story, nobody ever told them that they have to have comps. And that if you wait in the particular comps that they have, now that it will that's what your value is based on. That's where our power is. They could have avoided the whole lawsuit if they had a financial advisor like me on their side. And I said, those are bad comps. So I'm just saying that I am a Black-owned business. All of my life, I have been exposed to racism. But because of that, I had to get empowered. And all I want to do for Afroeconomics members in the Black community is to give us the knowledge to make sure that we can protect ourselves. Getting in the lawsuit with them doesn't.
Take a quick break here.
Yes. I understand what you're saying.
On the other side, 14 after the top there, folks, we got to take a look at the traffic and weather. I just don't want people to think that racism doesn't exist.
No, they know that.
When we come back, we'll let JB. We'll talk about these comps again, folks. What are your thoughts? Reach out to us 800-450-7876, and we'll take your calls in 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB. You're in the DMV, around FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power.
Ooh, that was good. I'm glad he said that so I can say, no, it exists. But this is how we protect ourselves. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Indeed.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by MGM National Harbor. In a little bit of the Beltway slow from St. Barnabas Road to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Also slow exiting onto northbound 295 going up through Blue Plains. Your lanes are open northbound, but southbound there's accident investigation going on near the truck scale south of the Naval Research Lab. All southbound 295 traffic is detoured at exit 1 for the Naval Research Lab and sent over towards South Capitol Street. Northbound on 210, delays north of Swan Creek Road up into Oxon Hill towards Palmer Road. 5 and 301, some congestion up into Brandywine and continuing up past Earnshaw Drive and Surratt's Road. Then that gets better into Camp Spring. Cloudy and windy today with an afternoon shower and a high of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight, low 49. 50 right now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Shopping online is simple and easy with the One VIP Visa debit card. Get cash back rewards on all purchases and double rewards when you shop with our Black-owned business partners. Hassle-free and easy, just like it should be. Go to onevip.com and get your card today. The One VIP Visa prepaid card is issued by Stride Bank, NA member FDIC, pursuant to a license from Visa USA, Inc. Use of the One VIP card is subject to terms and conditions.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Military personnel are returning
appraisals
home
in
with
black
specialized
neighborhoods
skills.
are above
Hire
the
smart,
contract
hire effect.
price.
This message sponsored by Kirk Chapman, Realtor with Fairfax Realty Elite, serving D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, along with Robert Spies and Academy Mortgage. Whether you're buying or selling, call 240-447-1977, 240-447-1977, and mention this ad for a free market analysis or home inspection. Kirk Chapman, Realtor with Fairfax Realty Elite, and Robert Spies and Academy Mortgage.
Lending and underwriting
the Age of Reason
practices.
took place over 200 years ago. It was a time of amazing scientific and philosophical progress all over the world. Truth, reason, and tolerance thrived, and even shaped the Constitution of the United States of America, the foundation of our democracy.
Lending and
But now
underwriting
those building blocks of
practices, as well
America,
as
of
consumer
democracy,
bias, lower
are under
home
attack.
values.
In just 2 decades, big tech
And
social
reduce
media
demand
billionaires have allowed their platforms
in
to
black
roll back
neighborhoods.
truth, facts, and tolerance, and fill the screens in our homes and in our pockets with lies and hate. Online disinformation and hate affect everything, everyone, everywhere. It splits us apart, hurts our children, polarizes our societies, and is literally leading to violence and terror in our communities. Lies and hate everywhere are a threat to all people, anywhere.
Lending and
Be a
underwriting
part of the
issue.
change. Help defend the future of our democracy. Go to counterhate.com to learn more.
Everybody has a smile story, those daily moments of joy that make you smile, especially when you're a child like 3-year-old Zena. Her smile is as bright as her future. But there's something you wouldn't know about Zena. She was born with a cleft lip, which can make it hard to eat, talk, hear, and even breathe. And she's far from alone. A baby is born with a cleft every 3 minutes. This hurdle could have kept Zena from living her full smile story. Thankfully, she met Smile Train. Since 1999, Smile Train has helped millions of children like Zena find their forever smiles by empowering medical professionals around the world to provide cleft care in their own communities at no cost to families. Smile Train is working tirelessly to give every child with a cleft the opportunity to live their full smile story. Learn how you can help more kids like Zena at smiletrain.org/learn.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
And good morning again, family. 21 minutes after the top of the hour. Thanks for rolling with us all morning long. Our guest is financial advisor J.B. Bryan from Afroeconomics. I think Sarita out in L.A. started a firestorm when you talked about appraisers. He got so many tweets from the people in the business, and they say that many of one of them just tweeted as many of the appraisers are white. And of course, that's obvious because it's more of them than us. So that's going to be the case. But anyway, we've got some folks who wanted to talk about it, J.B. Donnell's on line 2, calling from Charlotte. Donnell, you're on with J.B. Bryan.
Good morning, Carl. These statements that I'm about to state is not part of... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Carl and JB. These statements that I'm about to say is not part of the Department of Treasury or the Office of Controller of the Currency. There has been empirical evidence that appraisal bias is done by the white appraisers. Anyone who knows the appraisal business, 90% of the appraisers in America are white men. And studies have shown that they are using certain code, keywords, to reduce the value of African-American homes. In fact, in Atlanta, back in 2003, they were doing gentrification. They had a group of white appraisers in the Lakewood area discounting the property so that some white investors to go in to buy up the area dirt cheap. So my comment is focused on appraisers. They have so many issues because they're supposed to use the comps. Yes, you are right, JB. But there's other things that you have to look at when you do the comps. Is the comps, are they accurate? A lot of these homeowners do not know.
Exactly.
But let me finish. Let me finish. A financial advisor cannot help them because once a homeowner don't know that they cannot challenge your appraisal, you have less than 7 days to challenge that appraisal before it's finished.
Okay.
Then once it's finished, then it's very difficult to sell or to fight a foreclosure because they have to know their rights because you have less than 7 days to challenge your appraisal.
Exactly. You're right. I think you're right. But you know what's interesting is that you know how many Black real estate agents suffer because of the headlines that they put that, if you act like you're white or you make it like it's a white home and things like that, it really does hurt the Black professional. Because I've been in a situation where they'll say that, oh, it doesn't matter what color your financial advisor is, or it doesn't, matter. And I'll stand up and say that. So what are you saying? Because there's a whole bunch of Black people that are pursuing this as a business. And I think that the bigger mental impact of it is that the research shows that appraisal bias is 10% or less. It says appraisal bias explains a fraction of the devaluation of homes in Black neighborhoods. Most of it is from racism, that people don't want to live in the neighborhood with us and that they don't value our homes as effectively. In the Washington Post did a story on that like after 2008, 2009, so that it was so much harder for our communities like PG County to recover when Fairfax had already recovered well. So it's like those are the bigger points, and what really hurts us from a wealth perspective is that the racism impacts our home values going forward. But yes, you're correct that people give you bad appraisals, but they I would say that bad appraisals probably affect both communities, but racism doesn't affect both communities. It affects us.
Right.
So I think that the headline takes away from the point that the bigger issue of racism is in the underwriting and in the financing. So it's a deflection, because the appraisals are, you know what I mean? When they're talking about, the research is showing that it's probably maybe 10%, or like in this situation, we got one but we can prove even on the computer that we are penalized for being Black, even when they did it with computers and they didn't even answer that they were Black. They were doing it and turning down loans, same credit score, but because of their Black zip code. That's true.
Right.
That's a bigger, you know what I mean? That's a big, that's where we need to be, because the financing affects you, in such a major way. And the underwriting, when you get turned down.
Finish his point. 26 after the top there. Donnell? Oh, he's gone. He's coming up. All right. And one of the things that Donnell mentioned was interesting was the fact that this is all part of the gentrification move. Do you see that as part of the gentrification move too? Start with the real estate, start with the appraisal. That's the first part, and then the underwriting. Do you see all of this as part of the gentrification move that Donnell mentioned?
That's going to be, a stretch, because the gentrification is like what hurts us. Like, so as far as that they're coming in and they have more money, or they outprice us somehow. So that would be like exaggerating the appraisal. That would hurt us from a gentrification perspective. Like, they come in the hood and they say this house is worth $500,000. Who can afford it? That. And so when you live in that house next to the house that just sold for $500,000, now your taxes go up because the city does that same thing. Look at comps. What stuff selling around? Oh, okay. Well, this house with no improvements is also $500,000 for tax purposes, and then you have to suffer the consequences. I can't pay my taxes, and I can't even, so that from that perspective, our gentrification happens more of being able to maintain the house, which I have a lot, unfortunately, too many members going through that, where they live in great neighborhoods, but it's hard to maintain the house, and these other homes are being sold even by investors next to them in their city, and they, are bringing up their taxes have tripled in the last 3 years. So here you are, this person retired and already working part-time, and they have a payment still, and they're in their late 70s, and now their roof is leaking, and now they need a new floor, and then the city doesn't have a grant, for the work that they need to have done. And so it's, just that's the gentrification issue more, that the real life of it.
28 after the top there, JB. And Donnell tweeted that he was going to mention that they use they have keywords, they have a code, and he sent me all this information about the code. And I've heard about that too, especially when it comes to loans. So, when you loan application, they have a little code that they'll send to the underwriters.
Yes.
And then that will tell them that this is a Black applicant. They use that. So at one point they were using even stickers. At one point they busted them, and a white person actually outed them that this is what they do. Not just Black, but Black and brown applicants. So that there is a racial issue. So
they've seen it.
Yeah. So Donald, thanks for pointing that. He also gave us sent us some information of how they do that. There's certain codes the electronic automated information
especially
exchange
zip
management
codes.
system is called.
Mm-hmm.
They have codes when they send it to underwriting, including everything that you do. They'll have a little code so the underwriters know that this is a black applicant or this is a brown applicant. Like I mentioned, there was a story in the news where they used to have little stickers. They were bold, and now they're more sophisticated in their racism. So this is and thank you, Donnell, for pointing that out.
And in the
interesting question, it's just something that we have to be aware of. But go ahead.
And then also that this discussion is so powerful because our community doesn't know the power that they have. Like Donnell said, like if you only have a certain amount of days to respond and you don't think that appraisal was good, respond. We're much more likely than any other community to accept whatever is given. And they've done research on that. We'll go with, especially Black women, that will go into the car dealership and just accept whatever interest rate they give us. And our credit will be better. So from a racial point of view, it looks like, Black people pay more interest and their credit is fine. But it's really, that's what they do to make money. So when I get in on a deal with a client, I go, that's ridiculous. I mean, this one lady, I had to just lay her out because the sister was the loan officer at the dealership. And I said, look, my client got great credit. How are you giving her this interest rate? That's out of hand. And the lady was like, well, I'll get back. And she cut her interest rate in half just because I said, no, that's ridiculous. But my client thought that was a great deal. She knew that was great. I said, no, we don't think that we can say no. We've been so accustomed to, we don't even know when we have great credit. So we have to get into a team environment and take your power. Like I did a discussion on Wednesday, look on YouTube about the good people being fired, because we're just don't have the confidence or understand that you do have the ability to set boundaries and ask why, what is this about, and move on. We're saying, in every capacity, accepting salaries that are too low, accepting interest rates that are too high. We're accepting appraisals that don't have to be accepted, and at some point we have to take our power back. And I don't see how them making us into a headline gives us any power. We're being used when I know that every time we go in there and make a loan, we're helping and putting money in their pocket. So if you're paying 1 percentage point higher, and you didn't ask for it, to be lower, you didn't say why. I don't even know if we should accept that as racism, knowing that they are in the business of making money off us. But we take it. We just accept it. We think, why in the world would you think that they have your best interest? That's what they do for a living. And then, we come back and go, wow, look at these Black people. All these Black people have been paying these higher interest rates and their credit is the same. Oh, that's racism. No, that's business. That's what they do. That's what they do. And if you don't get yourself in alignment with someone like me, if you're not like me, you need to get in alignment with someone like me who understands that that's what they do for a living. And that if they can make an extra 1.5 a point off you and us, because we're not asking for better and we don't know who we are, they're going to continue to do it.
All right, hold that thought right there, JB.
Yes.
We got to take a quick break and check the news, traffic, and weather in our different cities. It's 26 minutes away from the top of the hour, folks. We're discussing money. First day of May, first day of the month. A good time to look at your money, look at your bank account, see where your money's going and where it's coming. And you've got questions about money, you reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls in 4 minutes in Baltimore on WOLB in the DMV. We're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power.
Is that? What's this song? Let's see. Yeah, take some.
Good morning, folks. I'm Earl Kirk. Here's the latest from NewsOne.com. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott appears to be signaling a 2024 presidential run after teasing a major announcement.
At an event in Charleston on Sunday, he said on May 22nd, it's time to make the final step. This comes after Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, recently launched a presidential exploratory committee. A White House runner would make Scott the latest contender for the GOP nomination, joining a list that includes former President Trump and former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. I'm Mark Mayfield.
A Woodbridge family is mourning the loss of an 8-year-old girl. Police say she was sitting in the middle of a neighborhood road Saturday when an elderly driver struck her at low speed, pinning her beneath a car. A GoFundMe to help the family with funeral expenses has already raised more than $60,000. New details are out on last week's discovery of 3 bodies inside a Springfield home. It's now being investigated as a double murder-suicide. Fairfax County Police say a man shot his wife and brother before turning the gun on himself. A nanny found the victims in the home's basement. Metro GM Randy Clark is expressing concerns about a big-time budget shortfall that's looming. He said the agency will be short more than $700 million next year, which could lead to wait times of a half hour between trains if nothing's done to close that gap. The D.C. Defenders are headed to the XFL championship game. They beat the Seattle Sea Dragons 37-21 at Audi Field Sunday to advance. The title game against the Arlington, Texas Renegades is May 13th in San Antonio. The Defenders edged out the Renegades by 2 just 2 weeks ago in Week 9 of the regular season. NBA playoffs, Warriors rout the Kings by 20 in Game 7 of their first-round series. Golden State battles the Lakers next. Second-round series in the East is underway. Heat beat the Knicks by 7 in Sunday's Game 1. Nationals down the Pirates 7-2 to salvage the series finale. The Cubs are in town to open a 4-game set tonight at 7:05. I'm Earl Kirk. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to NewsOne.com.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by MGM National Harbor. Reports of an issue on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway right near the Beltway, possibly in the median. Kind of slow in both directions through there. Southbound delays from Route 32 through Laurel and then at 495 northbound. So from the Beltway, most of the way to Powder Mill Road. Delays on Route 50 from 410 into Northeast. Slow on New York Avenue through the lights at Bladensburg Road and West Virginia Avenue. Kenilworth Avenue slow from Eastern Avenue pretty much all the way down into Southeast towards the 11th Street Bridge. Delays on northbound 295 from the Beltway to the Naval Research Lab and then from Supin Parkway across the 11th Street Bridge onto westbound 695. Remember, southbound I-295 remains closed near the Naval Research Lab exit because of accident investigation. Cloudy and windy today. Could see an afternoon shower, high of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight, low 49. 50 right now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years.
He was in big trouble.
We're going to take your house, garnish your pay.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm, and rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau.
I don't owe the IRS anymore. It was because of Optima Tax.
Yes. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-811-7033. 800-811-7033.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medication. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Whether you own a local business
We
or a
got
global
this.
one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of
See if I
America,
can
you
see
get
y'all.
access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Did you know that Black Americans are 2.5 times more likely to have sarcoidosis than white Americans? While sarcoidosis is considered a rare disease, it is more prevalent and severe in our community. Sarcoidosis is an inflammatory disease that can lead to serious and sometimes fatal complications, especially when undiagnosed. It's important to get the facts about sarcoidosis. The more you know, the better you can manage and treat the disease. Visit StopSarc.org to learn more. This message is brought to you by the Foundation of Sarcoidosis Research.
Wednesday.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Happy birthday to somebody. Let's do it.
And good morning again, family. 20 minutes away from the top of the hour. Thanks for sticking with us all morning long. Our guest is J.B. Bryan, financial advisor. We're talking about money, of course, the first day of the month. Before we go back to J.B., later this morning, we're talking politics with Dr. James Taylor. He's going to look at Biden's attempt to remain in the White House, and if he's going to, gauge the response from Black America. Will he get the same response he got the last time around? So that's one of the things we're going to discuss. Before we do that, though, I forgot to mention this. Alton Maddox, one of our guests, a frequent guest here from way back in the 90s, made his transition last Monday morning early. Most of you know. Well, the funeral is going to be today. The viewing starts at 9 o'clock at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. That's up on 138th Street in Harlem. And it's going to be streamed live. So those of you who want to, because I got some people tweeted and want to know if it's going to be streamed, it will be streamed live. I put all that information on my Facebook pages so you can check that out. Also, later this week, you're going to hear from the master teacher himself, Brother Ashwa Quashie will be here. Morgan State clinical psychologist, Professor Ray Wimble, should also join us. And the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice, Malik Shabazz, is also chip in as well. He wants to talk about the fact that the woman who was accused of causing the death of Emmett Till, now she's gone away. What are they going to do? Because he was on a trail trying to get justice for Emmett Till, and to find out what's the next move now that she has passed. Anyway, I'm telling you all of this so that you can keep your radio locked in on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore. Also in the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. 18 away from the top there. Let's take some calls to JB. Let's go to Waldorf. Brother Carlos is online too. Brother Carlos, you're on with JB Bryan.
Yes. Good morning, my dear friends. I'll make this I'll make this a brief. The issue of redlining or blacklining, as I call it, surely, from my experience, it exists in our Black neighborhoods. Now, I worked for over 30 years with auto insurance and homeowners insurance company. They used for many years a coding for the Black clients, code 13, code 16 for the Jewish clientele, and so forth and so on. And so this is prohibited by law, but they still used it until it was exposed. And then when it was exposed and they had to address the issue, then they went to another program to keep from insuring Black people for collision comprehensive insurance in certain neighborhoods and things of that nature. So I do believe that this also happens in the real estate industry as well. And the imprimatos of Black on Black crime and all those things seem to add to our dilemma in this area. So the only thing I can think of is to keep an eye out and do what a lawyer did when I went in. I saw a sign on his desk that sue the bastards, and that's the only thing that I know that we can do to protect ourselves. But I do know it happened because I worked in an industry where it occurred, and I was working there for over 30 years. That's all I wanted to put forth. And thank you very much for your information. I appreciate it.
And that's a very good point, because I have a part of my firm where I do property and casualty insurance. That's what he's talking about. So the Black agencies like mine, we have a special challenge because I had a situation with a member that's a lawyer, and beautiful home, but he had a lot of losses. Like when, insurance companies, they don't want you to report a loss. So he was with this other agency, and I was like, let me try to quote you with this major company. And then, so I think this company will be good for you. And then I tried to quote him because as a broker, I can go to different companies. And they said, no, too many losses. So in his neighborhood that he lived in, there was this white guy that also owned an agency. And he said, let me quote you. And that white guy quoted him, and that same company took his home, did not turn down the business because of losses, and put with that agency. And so in addition to like us because they couldn't do it on his zip code because he lived right there, within this beautiful neighborhood, majority white, but they turned him down with me because of the losses, but they accepted him with this agency. That agency was a lot bigger than my agency. So that their grounds for accepting him. So the lawyer, of course, my client said, really, we have a lawsuit. Like we should sue them. But he was the same person who told me whenever lawyers get involved, nobody wins. And I was just like, I'm going to keep moving forward. I really can't tell you how many different opportunities I've had as an entrepreneur that it would have been appropriate to sue them. Even when I left corporate America, like Susie Orman made more money off suing her employer for less than I went through as a stockbroker and female at that firm. But the years that it takes and, the energy that it would have taken from me, I just put that into creating an environment to serve my people and to stay healthy. But it is, that if we sued, I tell you, like, if we sued everybody that we really are in a position, you know what I mean, too, that it would be, we'd always be in court. But you really have to be, selective in that because I knew there.
From the top of the hour, it's some more information here about this first of the month, and you said this is a time when we should check our money, as you say, check our money. So what about credit though? Is this a good time to review your credit reports, and how do you do that?
Definitely go to get your freecreditreport.com, freecreditreport.com. And you can get a free credit report from each of the bureaus at least once a year. You should be, getting that free credit report, or sign up like I did and use, a company that you can just regularly check it. But even though I'm paying that money to regularly check it, I don't really check it as often as I'm paying them to check it. Like I could just download all 3 reports anytime. And I don't do that. Like they give me alerts on if something is posted, if your score is getting better, or, or you're using more credit, or you're so, that you get, but using it for that. But at minimum, we should be getting that freecreditreport.com, getting that information, because sometimes they'll have your address wrong, they'll have your employer wrong, they'll have, something. But the principle, as I define it in Afroeconomics, is for our principle 6 is credit confidence, because I don't want us to focus on always financing everything. No, I don't. I believe that we can start, which I did, start your business with customers and not loans. Like often when we're approached as Black businesses, it's always from a loan perspective. And I try to talk to our community more about private equity. And that's what Shark Tank is based on. private equity, like getting investors in your family, getting investors, just getting a group of people together that believe in what you're doing in your service and making a presentation, but then you're not creating a loan or a payment if you feel that you need that type of capital, because there's different types of businesses, and some businesses you do need to, like if you want to buy a huge hotel or apartment building or something, you could use private equity to develop that. To develop Motown was through private equity. He just said, I got it from my family, but that's private equity. And then, so we have to move away from always thinking that government loans are how you start business or some grant from somewhere, but, understanding that those are going to have huge criterias that you didn't develop. When you use private equity, you are saying, this is what you get. This is the portion of ownership that you'll get. This is how much each share costs, but you're in control and they can either say yay or nay. But when you're going to a lender and begging, they're in control. And that's the payment that you have to make, or you're going to lose this, or this. Generally, government loans are based on your equity in your home and a life insurance policy. So just
let me jump in here again, because we're 9 minutes away from the top end. Since we're talking about credit, one of our listeners down in Houston, Jimmy's got absolutely a stellar credit. He's got the best. It was an 850 score or whatever.
That's right.
And so the only problem with that, the only place you can go now is down after you got the top
That's
score.
Right.
But
That's right.
JB, what you would consider a good credit scoring?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's really not that much difference between a 720 and an 850. So other than the fact that generally a person with an 850 is going to have had a lot more different types of credit, but you don't, that when you're talking about over 720, you're already in excellent range. You're doing great. So you just want to make sure that you're paying everything on time and not using everything up to the limit, paying off things, especially your credit cards each month would be in a perfect world, but definitely keeping the balance below 30% of the line available. So back in the day, I used to think, only have one credit card. And then I realized that if people have only one credit card, they're more likely to max that one card out. So that will hurt your score more than having 3 cards that have 20% on them. So then it looks like you have a lot more available, versus if you had that all on one card, it may be 60% of that one card used, and that's going to hurt your credit. So definitely I had to move away from that thinking that one card, that makes everything great. If you have one card, then you always keep it on 0, fine. But in reality, most people have a balance. So,
quickly, what the average amount of credit cards should one have then?
The average amount, you just want to make sure that you are keeping it below 30%. So if you need more, don't put it on that card, get another card. That could be a strategy, right? Like, that's when you get another card.
All right there, JB. As I mentioned, we got to take a quick break here, take a check of the traffic and weather, and then our station's need some time to, announce this, identify themselves down the line per the FCC. But we'll be back in 4 minutes at 7 away from the top of the hour in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB, also in the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by MGM National Harbor. Outer loop of the Beltway, slowing from I-95 as you head from College Park over towards Georgia Avenue and Silver Spring. Interloop delays as you head past 95 and Route 1 into the Sunshine towards the Greenbelt Metro Station. Baltimore-Washington Parkway, slowing southbound from Fort Meade through Laurel. And again, across the Beltway, maybe a problem in the median north of 410. Interloop of the Beltway will slow after Branch Avenue towards the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Still slow on northbound 295, leaving the Beltway going up through Blue Plains. Southbound 295 remains closed south of the Naval Research Lab for accident investigation from overnight. All traffic being detoured over towards South Capitol Street. Cloudy and breezy today with a high of 61. Mostly cloudy and breezy tonight with a low of 49. 51 now at Reagan National. When was your last visit to MGM National Harbor? Did you dance the night away at Diablo's Cantina? Were you one of hundreds of daily winners? Visit MGM National Harbor again. 21 plus or help call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Did you know that hepatitis C causes tens of thousands of U.S. deaths every year? Hepatitis C is the leading cause of cirrhosis and liver cancer, and the leading cause of death from liver disease. Those who have hepatitis C often don't even know it. But there is good news. Not only good, but easy. A simple blood test will tell you whether or not you have hepatitis C. If you do have it, it's curable. More than 9 out of 10 people who receive highly effective treatment are cured and less likely to develop liver cancer or liver complications. In fact, one little blood test, and you can do your part to help eliminate hepatitis C for good. Get tested, get treated, get cured. Visit hep.org for more information.
When COVID-19 hit, I lost my housing and didn't know what to do. Without help from VA, I might be homeless.
Many veterans are facing financial hardship caused by COVID-19, putting them at risk of losing their housing. But VA has resources that can help. VA Supportive Services for Veteran Families program provides eligible veterans who are homeless or at imminent risk of becoming homeless with financial assistance for rent and utilities and other services to help protect them from housing uncertainty during this pandemic. If you or a member of your household served in the military and need help to stay in or obtain housing, call the National Call Center for Homeless Veterans at 877-424-3838. Veterans without access to a phone should visit their closest VA medical center. The number again is 877-48-VET. That's 877, the number 4, AID-VET.
Though Phi no longer drives, he can still fly down the track. Staying fit helps Phi stay flexible in his ongoing fight with retinitis pigmentosa, a blinding retinal disease. But even when the way forward is hard to see, Phi is always hopeful because he knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding diseases, providing real hope to those fighting vision loss. And our nationwide community of local chapters provides networking and support for people with vision loss, as well as their loved ones. Because the best way to fight against blinding diseases is to fight together. And for Phi, winning the fight against vision loss means seeing new ways to push himself. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more about how you can help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Every year, Steve Faircal climbs the stairs at the John Hancock Center in Chicago, 94 floors to the top.
It's called the hustle up the Hancock.
It's hard to believe when you watch Steve today that a few years ago, his lungs were failing and he was fighting to survive.
For 8 hours a day, someone was pounding on my chest to try and keep my lungs clear. I honestly don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live.
That's when Steve received the gift of life, a double lung transplant made possible by an organ donor.
After I got my new lungs, I started doing things that I had never been able to do. I never knew that breathing could feel this good.
Steve climbs to honor his donor and to raise awareness for organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Wouldn't you like that when you left this beautiful planet, that you could save a few lives on your way out? It's an incredible gift.
Imagine what you could make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240 DJ, Washington. 95.9 WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go. Keep rocking.
And good morning again, family. A minute after the top of the hour with J.B. Bryan, financial expert, black politics expert James Taylor. Dr. James Taylor is on deck. We'll get to talk to him with politics with him momentarily. Let's wrap up with J.B. Because, and by the way, thank you for starting the month with us, folks. Our Wake Up Squad, doing it each and every day.
That's
so, J.B., how can folks reach you? And are you going to still be broadcasting online after we go off on air?
No, I'm going to be listening to you. Dr. Taylor, that's right. No, this is it. I'll be out. So that did that for Financial Literacy Month. Last month was special. But no, I'll be going off the air. You can catch me at the office, 1-844-JB Bryan, 1-844-JB Bryan. And go to afroeconomics.com. There is a free membership level. We meet each Friday morning at 9 a.m. And, definitely just every Wednesday night, I do free workshops. Last week was on the one about professionals and losing your job and taking your life to the next level and establishing your power position. And so that's in the archives on YouTube, a huge free library. Take advantage of every resource that you can that is free to you. And I also record this session and you can hear Carl and his questions, commercials, and all of it. So, and then I'll also post your podcast because you're really good about sharing that with me. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, JB.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
After the top of the hour, Dr. James Taylor is with us. He teaches at the University of San Francisco, one of the best political scientists out there. Students fight to get in his class on campus out in the Bay Area. Dr. Taylor, good morning. Welcome back.
I'm J.B. Bryan, the creator of Afro Economics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afro Economics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afro Economics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afro Economics podcast. There are many levels of Afro Economics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. Hashtag Afroeconomics. Nathan, have a great one. Have a great day. Love y'all. See y'all soon.